spin that damn wheel again. I swear, watch me get 1,500 word. Please don't, please don't, please don't. I don't know what one that is. Really? We are going to be doing a fun little writing challenge, I guess, in a way, for this video and for this weekend. But before we do that, I have to clean my room. I don't know if I've ever discussed this, but for me, in order to be able to effectively write and tap into my creative side, I have to have a clean room. I cannot see dust. I have a problem when it comes to dust or just, listen, I got many of things going on in my brain, okay? And unfortunately, when I do see dust, which is inevitable, and unfortunately, you wipe it down and 2 seconds later it comes back. I don't know if you could hear that, but a man on a motorcycle just went by and it was really fucking rude because I was in the middle of speaking. What was I saying? Dust, my arch nemesis. It really does disrupt my day and I am unable to proceed with a thought, a task, whatever it might be if I'm seeing it. And obviously dust is inevitable, and as someone who has a lot of black items like my monitor, my keyboard, my speaker, I just have a lot. I used to have a black desk and that was like the worst time of my life, and it's why I purposefully didn't get a black desk this time, because I would see dust, and whether I was working or writing or editing a video, once I saw that dust, it derailed my entire day and I had to stop and clean everything. And of course the dust came back in like 30 seconds because that's how dust fucking operates for some reason. But anyways, when it comes to me writing, I need to have my space feeling clean and organized. And it is Saturday. Happy Saturday. It's the freaking weekend. But throughout the week, especially when I'm working and I do everything here, I do my 9 to 5 and my 5 to 9 at the same spot. And I kind of am just a prisoner in this room. Things get disorganized, things get messy. It was a very busy week for work, so I just need to reset. I need to throw some clothes in the laundry. I need to just organize some random books and notepads that I've thrown random places. I was like, I'll deal with that later. Well, guess what, honey? It's later. I'm gonna do that first, and then I will come back and I will explain to you the setup that we have for this very fun weekend of writing. Or at least I hope it's gonna be fun. It'll only be fun if I'm successful. So I hope I'm successful. It's probably gonna take me around 20 minutes, but for you, I'll be back in literally 2 seconds. Oh, my foot is fucking itchy, my guy. What did I tell you? Absolutely no time passed at all for you, but it has been around 30 minutes for me. That's fine. Now that my room is clean, clothes are in the laundry, I also got ready to make myself feel a little bit better and more prepared and ready for the day. It's time to start the true theme or activity, or I guess challenge, of this video, which is going to be letting a wheel decide how many words I need to write each day. Right now the plan is to spin the wheel once each day. Now if I get like 500 words chosen and I get those real quick, I'll spin it again. It'll probably bite me in the ass, but I'll spin it again. So the different options on here are 500, 900, 1,000, 1,200, and 1,500. I swear to God, if I get 1,500 the first time, I'm gonna scream. There's gonna be problems, but it's fine. It's so fine. So why don't we just go ahead and spin the wheel? You're gonna see before I do, and I don't even know what anything is. What is it? 1,000. Okay, that could be worse. That could definitely be worse. Now, keep in mind this is 1,000 for today, which should be fairly easy, hopefully. I did do a writing session last night, so I have like looked at my document. I started in on a scene, so it's not like I'm having to dive back into my story for the first time in a while and try to find my footing again. So hopefully this goes well. 1,000 words, let's get her done. Let's get her done. It is currently noon, so we have nothing but time. We're fine, everything is fine. I decided to make myself this little square because quick maths, 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. And for me, having a goal of reaching 250 words is far less intimidating for my brain than 1,000. Because in my brain, it's like, oh, you need to sit down and just straight up write 1,000. Whereas this, it's, okay, write 250 here, now let's write another 250. It breaks it up a little bit. For me, I'm also someone who's not a huge fan of long chapters because my brain loves the reward of seeing that I finished a chapter and I get to move on to the next one. So for this, it's like, oh, I have 4 tasks to do today, which is 4 times I need to reach 250 words rather than one big task of reaching 1,000. Honestly, I just think when it comes to writing, you need to find what works for you. And for me, having these small steps and this nice moment where once I reach 250 words, I get to do something that's like, oh, you made progress. That's motivating for me. I quite like that. Because also there's so many times, you know, when you sit there and you're like, I easily just wrote 1,500 words, you highlight it, you check the word count, and there's only 150. Yeah, that always sucks. I don't know why it always looks like you've written so many more words than you actually have. But anyways, that is what I am doing to try to help myself stay motivated and keep my will to live today. I think it'll work. You gotta just find what works for you. And sometimes things like this work for me. We'll see if it works today. It might not. See, and this is what I'm saying. I have already reached a 250 word count mark. I'm actually at 262, and that happened in literally, I think, 6 minutes. So I get to take this little red pen and shade out one of these boxes. We are already a quarter of the way done. That feels great. 25% done with the goal. Amazing. I did post on my Instagram story asking everyone if they had any questions about my book or about my writing journey, and so I think I'm going to answer like 1 or 2 of those right now as we make our way through our day of writing. So let's see. We'll start with this one. Someone asked, what's the most words you've written in a day and what do you think led to that? The most words that I've written in a day with just writing in general, I think I wrote around 5,000 or 6,000 words one time in one day. And honestly, the main reason that I think that was possible was I didn't have a job at the time, I don't think. It was either around the time when I was in between my current job and the job I had before this. I had about a 2-week period, or it was downtime with the current job that I have, which haven't seen downtime in a while because we changed a few things, but I just didn't have much going on. I also wasn't making all of the content that I make now. I wasn't making YouTube videos. I wasn't having 2 YouTube channels. I wasn't making reaction videos on Patreon. My plate just wasn't nearly as full as it is now. And so I just had nothing but time for writing, which one could argue I have now still, but sometimes I think back on those times where I was able to sit down and just write for hours and get thousands of words in one day. And I would think, damn, why can't I do that again? And I remind myself that I was in very different circumstances then. My life looked a lot different. My responsibilities and the things that I need and want to get done in a week were much smaller. And so I think that was a big thing for it. I think I also was just in a different mindset with writing. I was having a much easier time at that moment to just write and not overthink it. And one of the biggest hurdles I had to get over with this story that I'm currently writing is trying to remember that a first draft does not need to be perfect and that I can go on little tangents and info dump and word vomit, and I can go through again and a third time and perfect and smooth those out. Whereas I think during that time, I was just so excited to be writing again that I didn't think about it. And so things just flowed far easier, and I think that was the main thing there. Kind of miss it, but I also do really enjoy everything that I do right now. It's given me some amazing opportunities. In 2 weeks, I get to go travel and go to a convention where I'm a featured creator and I get to speak on panels because of some of the content that I do now. And I've met so many great friends and important people in my life because of the content. It's just, I wouldn't trade what I have now for what I had then, but I do wish I could combine the two if it were possible. I'll answer this one as well because it's a very easy one. Short answer, what genre are you writing? I am writing fantasy. Woo! I would actually really like to eventually dip my toes in several different genres. One that I'm not sure I'll ever be able to successfully write is horror. And I think that's because I am not a horror fan, which means I also just don't know what makes a horror book tick, a horror story really get to people and be good and of high quality. Whereas fantasy, I love reading fantasy. Science fiction, I like reading it. Even romance, I understand the structure and what people enjoy and what I enjoy in it. So I feel like I can write those different things. But when it comes to horror, I'm not a huge fan. And I say that even though Christopher Buehlman and I've been starting to read more horror books. So maybe at one point I will be able to. But I think I like a very specific subgenre of that. I don't like just slasher. I don't think I'd ever be a big fan of like a serial killer or just like those different things. I quite like the dark fantasy horror. So it still has those elements in it. I do really want to try like a psychological thriller book though. So if you have any recommendations for that, let me know. Okay, I'm gonna go back to writing because we have 3 more 250 marks we need to hit. It's time again. We get to cross off another one of the 250 squares because I am now just a little over 500 words. So let's cross that out. We're now 50% of the way done. I think I am going to take a small break. It's not that I've reached like a writing slump or writer's block, anything like that, but I'm feeling myself get tired, and so I just kind of want to get up, do something. Maybe my clothes will be dry by now. I don't fucking know. But I just want a little bit of a break, and then I will come back to writing again to get the last 500 words. See, I'm loving this. I'm loving my little setup. I really suggest giving it a try if you'd like. In the meantime, why don't we answer another question that was submitted on Instagram? Ooh, this one's fun. How often do you daydream about your novel? Coming from a writer. Quite often. The story itself, almost every time I'm in the car, and if I'm driving for more than 20 minutes, my mind just automatically starts wandering off to thinking about my story, different things or elements that I need to flesh out a little bit more, or just scenes that I'm excited to write, different ideas. Everything seems to fall into place for me when I'm driving. And I know everyone has like their spot. Some people it's in the shower. For me, it's when I'm behind the wheel, which isn't great, but it does make some car rides go by rather quickly. It just sucks when I'm in that car on the way to do something and I am not able to get out of the car and immediately start writing things down. So usually I'll do a voice note to myself, just kind of rambling all of the thoughts that I have, and then I'll continue with my day. I also think about it at night. I think about it when I'm doing tedious, mindless tasks for work. So I feel like it's really when I am just doing something that doesn't require a bunch of brain power, my mind's first thought to go to is thinking about my story, because I am still very excited, and that makes me really happy because I feel like if I wasn't thinking about it and thinking about the story, things that I can write, how I can make it better, etc., then that means I'm just not that excited or passionate about it. And I'm someone where if I'm not excited or passionate about my story, then it's not the right story or something needs to change, because I said in a video before, if I'm not excited about it, why would I expect someone else to be? You should be your number one fan. You're also your biggest critic, but I think if you aren't in love with a story, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Who's in your story's corner? If you aren't there, why should anyone else be? Just saying. So quite often, I think about my story probably at least once every day, but how long that lasts kind of depends on everything I've been doing. There are so many times throughout the day where I'm like, damn, I wish I could just write because I have this really nice idea. So that's when I have this thing on my phone. It's a shortcut on my phone, and if I click it, it brings up a screen like that. If I just type into it and press done, it adds that note into a specific notes app I have on my phone that is for this story. So I can just quickly type it. It's really nice for me so I don't get distracted by the other notes that are in my phone, because I have over 1,000 different notes in my phone, I believe. I love a list, I love a notes app moment, but I really enjoy that. So if I'm thinking about my story and I'm like, oh, I really wish I could write right now, but I can't, and I have an idea, I'll just type it down and then I'll go look in there and everything is in one spot. So all of my ideas are there, which I quite like, because I obviously have several Google Docs for my story of like different things, but having it all in one place, like those random thoughts, and being able to just dump them into the same place. So every thought I've ever had about the story is in the same notes app, which is really fun looking back at some of the earlier stuff, because there are some things that I forgot about that I have taken from those early days and implemented into the current version that I am working on. Someone asked, how will I publish it? I am going to be self-publishing. I do, of course, have the goal of traditionally publishing one day, but this story for me, I want to just be able to get it out to everyone once it's done and share this story that I've been working on for so long, and I'm excited to share it. And I do know that you can get stuck in that query loop for a very long time, and it can kind of knock you down here and there. So I want to self-publish this story, so it is going to be self-published. Someone asked, what do I do to brainstorm? How I usually come up with a story, and I think I've talked about this before, but for me, I usually come up with the plot twist or the ending of a story first, and then I have to work my way backwards. Usually too, those thoughts will come to me when I'm listening to music. Music tends to be the thing that really sparks my creativity, whether it be the emotions or a specific lyric in the song. Like the rest of the song could not have any relation to the story or thought that I have, but one specific line did, or even just the overall vibe or feeling of the song. So it could be like a love song, but it kind of sounds haunting. And that's just kind of what sparks my creativity and thoughts. So I'll usually get the plot twist or the ending first, and I'll see how that plays out. And then I got to work my way backwards of why. What makes sense as to why this would happen, and I go from there. Having that end goal is quite nice. I don't know what I would prefer, to be honest, if I would prefer to just have the overall like plot idea in my brain first, or the beginning of it, or the characters. I have nothing but that plot twist and or ending, and then I have to figure out what characters and characterizations would make sense for them to go through that, and then did they start out that way? So it's really working backwards. And for me, how I figure those things out is just a lot of trial and error. I think about stories that I've read because I am a reader, which I feel like most writers are. I just think about what would make sense and what would be satisfying to me as a reader to have that plot twist or ending. What would make all of that worth it? Again, music. If I'm feeling stuck, I will just listen to different types of music, hope that something kind of sparks an idea, and it usually does, which is quite nice. I don't really know how to fully explain my relation with music, but if I'm ever feeling stuck with writing a scene or coming up with the logic behind a decision a character makes, XYZ, if I just listen to some music and I just let my brain kind of tune into that, things start to work out for me. Someone asked what writing program I'm using. I don't have Scrivener. I've seen it, but I think it's a little overwhelming of a platform for me personally. I might try it one day, but haven't. I have tried Reedsy. I'm not a huge fan of Reedsy simply because there's no app for it. And what I really enjoy, I'm someone who could write just as many words on my phone, if not more, as on like a laptop or desktop. And sometimes I'll just randomly be out somewhere and I will write like a couple hundred words on my phone in my Google Doc. Yes, I use Google Docs, and I understand there was like this whole thing where people warned writers to not have their work in Google Docs, but as of right now, it's what's worked best for me because I have access to it everywhere. I fly quite often, and so when I'm in the airport, I just take out my phone sometimes, or on the plane, and I have it available offline, and I'll be able to write. I just really like that I can have the same version and have it update across my desktop and my phone and my laptop, all these different places. I just like having that, and I have yet to find anything that I like more than it. I was writing this one program called Narrative. You do have to pay for it monthly, and it just wasn't my favorite. Again, there were just certain things I didn't like. I didn't love, I think, the formatting of it. I liked that it counted word count, like how much you wrote in a day, and it kept track of that. But I think I didn't like the formatting. I've yet to find something that I truly like. I do use Milanote, but that is more for planning. I don't really like writing in there either. So if you have any ideas other than Scrivener. Oh, and I've tried Ulysses or something. I think I just was too impatient to actually figure out how to make that a good workflow in there. And on my Mac, it was making me pay, I think, for it. And I think I did like a free trial, and I wasn't convinced enough during the free trial to pay for it. Do you ever doubt the quality of your story and or writing? How do you tackle it? All the fucking time. Sometimes I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And other times I'm like, fuck, why am I even writing this? People are going to go read my story. And especially since I'm like a rather harsh critic of books, they're probably gonna expect some amazing masterpiece from me, and it's gonna be shit. And they're like, what the fuck? Everything that you say you don't like in stories, your book is just littered with it. The imposter syndrome hits at least twice a week. And I think that's honestly any writer and every writer. And I personally think that it's a sign of a good writer, because that means you truly care about your story. However, there's a fine line. You need to give yourself grace. You need to also be a champion for yourself. You need to believe in yourself and have that confidence that you can do it. And so for me personally, as someone who has put out writing on a public forum before, or a platform where people have read it, and I know that people enjoyed it, and that was a first draft of that story, but it was fan fiction, so I wasn't going to really bother myself with going through and like editing everything. I knew people liked that. And so it's kind of this reminder of, just like with books, not everyone has the same preferences. You are going to find your reader. You are going to find someone who really aligns and really enjoys your writing style, your tone, your approach to storytelling, your characterizations, all of those different things, the messages you like to tell. So you will find them. It might take a little bit, but there is a reader out there for every writer, in my opinion. Anyways, I'm gonna go take a little bit of a break. maybe go check on my laundry, and then we will get back to another writing session later. It's only been a few seconds for you, but it's been a few hours for me. When I said I was taking a break, boy, did I fucking mean it. I did just, however, finish another writing session. I'm going to do one more, but I got 361 words this writing session, which means we get to go over to my desk because I was writing on my laptop in my bed, and we get to cross off another one of the squares. Here it is. Also, do you see this purple thing here? That is one of my t-shirts that I folded up and I am using as a makeshift keyboard wrist rest thing. My keyboard is just like a little too high and I could already feel my wrist hurting from being like this, so just ignore it. I don't really feel like paying some money for a piece of foam right now. Anyways, let's cross this shit off, shall we? Hell yeah, baby. 3 down, 1 to go. And because I wrote 300, like, I thought 61 words, we're almost there already. Easy. This is actually going so much better than I thought it would. I'm not gonna lie. Saturdays tend to be, for me, after like especially having a pretty packed and busy work week, Saturday tends to be the time where I'll get some words, maybe like a few hundred, but it'll mostly be spent reacquainting myself with my story, like where I left off, where I was trying to go with it, looking over my notes, falling back into the rhythm of things. It's very frustrating. So I'm really glad I did that on Friday because I feel like it saved me a lot of time. However, I am having a lovely eczema flare up on the side of my neck that I do need to take care of. I'm also gonna wash my face, I think, because it is 10:31, which means this next writing session will be done. I'll get to cross this one off, and then I'm probably just gonna read for the rest of the night. And once that's done, I don't want to have to get up and go wash my face and brush my teeth. The most I'll be able to do is go brush my teeth, take a potty break, and then crawl back into bed. That's how I know that's gonna go. We are gonna do this again tomorrow. I'm really hoping that the wheel gives me 1,000 or less words tomorrow because I do need to get a few things filmed, or I'd like to get a few things filmed, but we shall see. My goal was to actually try to get most of my content for the week done and filmed over the weekend so that I only had the movies left to watch before I leave in a week and a half. But I was prioritizing writing because I do find that it's easier for me to film after a work day than it is for me to write, because writing it takes so much more out of my brain. I'm very happy to announce that I think maybe like 20 minutes later, we have reached our goal. This last section, I forgot to make a note of where I ended off with the last 250 word count. So I just started from the top and I am at 704, which I believe, yeah, that's 204 over what I needed for this second wind of writing sessions. So we get to go over and mark off that last square. Here we go, last one. 1K complete, and then some. We actually ended up with 1200K today, which is just so much fun, honestly. This went so much better. I think I said this last clip, so much better than I thought it would. I'm really happy with this. Did I take a big break? Yes. And I was worried that it was going to disrupt my writing flow today, but it clearly didn't. I definitely fell into a nice flow there. I did cut myself off because I quite liked where I was at in a scene, and I think it'll be really easy for me to pick back up into it and start again tomorrow. And I really like to leave myself off at a place like that so that I don't have to fight for my life to get back into the flow of things. So 1K words done. Fuck you, you little wheel. You didn't win today. I won. You might win tomorrow, though. I think that's going to be it for writing for tonight. So I will say goodnight to you for today, and I will see you tomorrow morning, and we will spin that damn wheel again. I swear, watch me get 1,500 word. Watch it land on a 1,500. Which, I mean, I almost got today anyways. So, like, fuck it. Let it land on 1,500. See if I care. And we're back with a new day. It is Sunday. I am starting quite late. It's 3 p.m. I don't want to fucking talk about it. It's been a slow start, okay? I had my lazy Sunday morning, leave me alone. But it is time to spin the wheel, and I am very nervous that we're gonna get some fuck-ass number. So here we go. Please don't, please don't, please don't. I don't know what one that is.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Let it land on 1,500. See if I care. Really? 1,500? Okay. You know, yesterday we got 1,200, no problem. Did I start earlier in the day? 100%. But we can do that. Let me make my little sheet. I fucking knew this was gonna happen too. I literally said I was on FaceTime earlier and I was like, watch, I'm gonna get the 1,500 number. I'm gonna get the biggest number that I put on that fucking wheel because that's my luck. And here we are. Here we fucking are. Damn it. I guess the only thing that I need to think about or realize is that it's 300 more than I got yesterday, which really isn't a lie, you know? But fucking hell, that was just my luck. I was hoping for 500 so that I could then feel really good about myself when I surpassed that. All right, here's my really shitty squares. We have 6 different 250 word count sessions that we need to get. Let's pitter patter and get at her, I guess. Actually, now that I know this, I really wasted the morning. I slept in today because I kind of slept like shit last night. And then I didn't really get a move on actually like doing stuff till noon. And even then I still didn't really do anything. And then I was playing games and now it's 3. I blinked and it's 3. It's fine, we're fine. Before I get started on writing, I think I'm gonna film the few things that I need to get done for tomorrow. Get that out of the way, that should be fairly easy, maybe an hour max, and then focus in on writing. Because if I don't film now, I'm just gonna be thinking about it while writing. And I wanna be able to just focus on writing because we have 1,500 words we need to get today, which isn't a lot. We can do it. It's fucking finally time. I actually skipped one and just kept writing because I knew that if I stopped or interrupted myself, it was going to throw things off. We are at 500, a little over 500 words. So we get to cross off 2 of these. Full transparency, today is not going as well as yesterday. I had a really late start like I had mentioned, and then I was this far off from having the energy to write. I had the desire, I wanted to write, but this much was just like missing from the energy needed to just start doing it, get my brain going. I was kind of just in this like paralyzed state, which was just giving me anxiety, stressing me out, and pissing me off. Oh, that shit's floating around, don't like that. It was difficult. I feel like it's going to be a lot of, I'm getting back into the groove of it right now, so this will be nice. I feel like this is going to end with like, again, 2 writing sessions like yesterday, which means we're gonna go later into the night. I'll probably take a break to like read or something like that because that's what I ended up doing before I sat down to write. Reading tends to inspire and or motivate me, which is quite nice, but at least we get to mark 2 of these off. There we go, 2 done. I was gonna do that one, so we go 2-2, but right here, scenes funks, I'm like, oh, only 1 more to have this side done. You know? I don't know, I'm trying to convince myself that I'm doing better than I probably am. A part of me is kind of happy that this is happening, and I'll explain why. I'm not happy for myself, but I'm happy because I feel like it's showing a very authentic experience with something like this. Yet it would be great if this challenge that I was doing just went super smoothly and I wrote 1,000 words yesterday, easy as pie, and 1,500 words today, even easier. But that's just not how it is, especially for me. There are so many times where I have set a writing goal for myself and I didn't even come close to it. And I just ended up having no motivation or energy or creative juices in my brain to write, even though I really, really wanted to. I used to be really hard on myself about it. I still am hard on myself. I think a little bit of that is good because it kind of keeps you in check a bit. But I think just constantly berating yourself isn't going to help anything. And if I did that, I would have just given up already because I'm very behind on compared to the timeline that I'd set for myself at the beginning of the conception for this story and wanting it to be out. Like my original timeline, if I had stuck to that, it would have already been out for, it would be out this month, August. It's not even close. I'm not even done with the first draft, and that's fine. Am I upset? Yeah. But it is what it is, and I don't want to rush a story to put out and then just have people be disappointed and be like, so you spent this time writing this, you took my money for it, and it's ass. I don't want that. People could still do that, but I won't feel like it's a reflection of the fact that I didn't give it enough time and I was just like trying to get it done for the sake of getting it done. With that being said, why don't we take a small break to answer some questions? Speaking of this, how long have you been writing your book? I can actually give you a pretty accurate timeline, because on my other channel, when it was first a book and writing channel, I had posted videos on there. My first video I posted about writing my book was posted in December of 2023. So I'm coming up on 2 years of working on this story, and it sucks, but also I think about so many books that are so loved out there that took 5, 8, 10 years, whatever it might be. It is frustrating knowing that 2 years in, I'm still working on the first draft, but I also think back to all the different things. And I do believe that my approach to writing this story is what really set me back. I fully believed it that I was a 100% pantser, which means you just don't really plan anything. And I realized that that just doesn't work for me, actually. And I need some sort of plan. I thought in the past I'd always been a pantser, but I always had some sort of outline. And with this one, all I had was an idea and where I wanted it to end, and a general idea of like my characters and all of that. And that just wasn't working for this. So about probably 6 or 7 months into that process, where I was just banging my head against the wall all the time, not knowing why I can't write anything, I ended up taking a step back and taking the time to properly outline. I don't have as much or as detailed of like a plotting system as someone who is 100% plotzer. I am a variant of the two. I have specific beat points that I know I want to hit. I will write out very loose ones for the different chapters, but still allowing myself to have that ability to let the story unfold naturally and how it wants to as I write. There were certain things that I'm like, this is dead set and it's cemented in my brain, and other things like, hey, I think this could be how this works. But if I'm writing and I reach that point and I'm like, hey, naturally it actually doesn't make sense, I can pivot. 6 to 7 months in, I took that time, and that took me about 3 to 4 months maybe to really get that together. And from there, I realized that a lot of these ideas that I had and how I had started my story just wasn't actually what it needed to be. So then it took me a while. So I would say that I've been working on the story for almost 2 years now, but I've only really been truly writing this book with the outline and all of that since the beginning of this year, which does make me feel a little bit better when I put it into perspective that way, because yes, I've been working on this book for 2 years, but I kind of had to, it's like soft DNFing a book and then coming back and starting over again. And I really just had to do that. I had to deconstruct a lot of things I've kept as well. There are docs from the first, second, and third ideas I had of how the book started, different versions, and they are nothing like what I have now. Certain characters their characterizations are completely different. There's characters that don't even exist. There was a specific event that took place in the beginning of the book that does not happen anymore. And so I think something that I wish I had seen someone say in a video when I was watching these religiously, trying to find someone to relate to, is that it's okay to start over. Especially if even if you are looking to traditionally publish or self-publish, if you do not have a deal, you do not have that hard deadline. I was talking about this earlier with someone, is like, I have a deadline in my brain, but if I don't reach that deadline, it's not like the world's going to end. It's not like I'm in contract to end at that time or to have it all complete. That's just not it. And that's both like good and bad for me. I quite like a very hard deadline, but it's also really nice because it's what I remind myself of. And so then I'm able to breathe again. Thank God. I think if this was my full-time job though, I would definitely be a lot harder on myself, but I do give myself some grace. Another person asked, when can we beta read your work? I will finish my first draft. I'll take a little step away from it. I will go through and do the second draft edits because it will need it, and then I will give it to my alpha reader. And then once I'm about 50 to 75% done with that round of the edits, making those edits from my alpha reader, is when I'll make an announcement, and I will send out like a form for people to fill out if you're interested in being a beta reader. And then from there, once I get closer and closer to finishing those rounds of edits after my alpha reader had read it, is when I'll reach out and be like, hey, I'm about to send this out, it's getting ready. This is the date that I would need it done by. And then from there, some people will probably drop out because they'll be like, oh, that just doesn't align with my schedule right now. I'll be able to commit to that. That's when we'll start doing that. The first announcement will be made through my newsletter on my website, which is why I made that website mostly, is so that I could send out that communication. I'll send that out there first, and then I'll make a post. I'll mention it here on YouTube, and I'll mention it on Instagram so that people there as well can put their names in if they would like to do it, if they would like to help me. I also saw that someone else had asked something about like arcs. I'm not doing ARCs. I don't know how to do ARCs as a self-published person. And again, I don't want to figure it out. I'm sure it's, yeah, no. Okay, enough chit-chatting. It is already 7:30 p.m. So I'm gonna get back to writing, and I will hopefully see you soon where I can cross off more of this shit, because I honestly refuse to let this wheel beat me. I will write 1,500 words. I basically wrote that yesterday, just 300 less. I can do it again. I can do it again. Oh my god, an hour later, and we're another 500 words in. Thank fucking god. Good lord. I mean, things could be worse. Things could be worse. 1,000 down. Wow, actually, hold on. Fuck, I didn't even piece that together. Okay, things could be worse. Things could be worse. I don't know why in my brain, I think the issue here is that, right, I broke these up into 250, but I have just been writing to about 500, forgetting that it's actually 250, and I think in my head I was thinking I had 6 500 word counts to hit. But no, I only have one more 500 to hit. I'm 1,000 words in. Fuck yeah, good. Go me. Maybe life isn't terrible. Before I get back to writing, I want to share one of my favorite books I have bought that's writing related. Hold please. And that book is The Emotion Thesaurus. I loved it so much that I also bought the Emotion Amplifier Thesaurus. They have so many other ones as well that I feel like I'll eventually buy, but these books have been such a lifesaver. You do not need ChatGPT, folks. If you want to figure out internal sensations, mental responses, acute and long-term responses for this emotion, blah, blah, blah. Signs that this emotion is being suppressed, all these different things for all these different emotions, just get this book. This book has saved me so much. This is fantastic. It has everything here. I believe it's made by writers, and I love it. I think this is great. I think if you want to get any like workbooks that are just going to help you with that, here you go. Fuck ChatGPT. Support these people who have taken the time to make several different versions of these books and get these. Some other books that I have bought for writing are all of these. I have How to Write a Novel Using the Snowflake Method. I haven't read this yet because I bought it when I was already in the process and after I had kind of started plotting, but it's something that I would really like to read before starting my next book. Also, Mastering Plot Twists. I actually got this in New York. There's this big store that had a whole section of writing tools, and this one I had never seen before. And I was like, oh, I would like to master plot twists because I'm terrified that my plot twist will be seen from a million miles away and it will have just absolutely no impact on the reader. One that I've already started is Story Genius. I love this, but I had to stop at one point because again, I was in the middle of writing and I don't think that books like these are great to read when you are in the process of writing your first draft, because it's going to make you rethink everything that you've already done and want to take a new approach and redo things. And I noticed myself starting to have that mindset, so I put this down. I think during my break between my first draft and second draft, I'm gonna like look at some of these books so that I can go in with that new mindset when it is time to edit. But your first draft is not a time to edit. I of course have Save the Cat Writes a Novel. Heard nothing but great things about that. And then I also got The Secrets to Creating Character Arcs. Like I said, I've only started this one, but as I make my way through these, I will definitely keep you updated on the ones that I really enjoyed, the ones I found the most helpful, and also maybe tips or tricks that I learned from them. Anyways, only 500 words to go, which is only 2 sets of 250 if we want to break it down that way, which I do. So I'm going to get back to writing, and hopefully in like an hour we'll be done, and we will have made the little wheel our bitch both days. That'd be great. And we would end with around 2,700 words, a little under 3,000 for the weekend. That's pretty fucking great. I love that. So I'm gonna leave. Okay, and like that, we've accomplished. I actually got, let me see the actual count. Hold please. I really just closed my Google document and we're done. We're done here. I got 651 words. Let me do my scratch off because I deserve it. Thank you. You see that shit? Hell yeah. So we ended up getting over 1,500. What did we get today? 651. I don't even remember. I forgot to write them down. This was much harder than yesterday. Like granted, I feel like I got more words in a shorter amount of time, but that's only really because I didn't start till 3 p.m. and I felt a lot of anxiety, especially since the wheel gave me 1,500, the highest number on the wheel. It is 11. So I don't know, actually. I don't know how long it took me. It just feels like I got it done in a shorter amount of time, but it might have been the same amount. But it did feel like I really had to pull at these words and these ideas to come out of my head. Today was just not as easy flowing as yesterday was. Yesterday, when I took a break, it was simply because I was getting tired, and so I just wanted to do something to relax a little bit. Whereas today, I wanted breaks because I didn't want to do it for a little bit. I don't know, like, though I was able to write over 1,500 words, I was still dealing with that slight lack of desire and energy that I had plenty of yesterday when it came to writing. Am I making sense here? I hope I'm making sense. At one point I was considering just throwing in the towel, but then I decided that a virtual wheel on my iPad that I put together does not get to beat me in a challenge. Absolutely fucking not. Not on my watch. I think that's gonna be it though. I am done. We beat the challenge. We got however many words I had counted up, and I'm happy with that. That was a very good, successful weekend in my opinion. I have no words left in my brain. I think I used them all in my story today. So with that, I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm probably going to do this again. I actually quite like, listen, I'm a competitive bitch. And even if my competition is a fucking wheel app, it works. It works wonders for me. So I'm probably gonna do this again. Hope you look forward to that. I will. Maybe I'll get crazy, or maybe I'll put even a higher word count on it. I don't know if I should do that. But until then, I'm gonna go. I'll see ya when I see ya. And I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. If I was hanging out with you while you were cooking, cleaning, working, hanging out, whatever it might be, if I was keeping you company, I'm so happy. I'm so happy I got to spend that time with you. Let's hold hands. This is the closest we'll get to holding hands. Because I'm not a huge, I don't really want to, no offense to you, but I don't really want to hold your hand in person. We can hold virtual hands. Okay, it's getting weird. I'm gonna go. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff. Bye!